Okay.
Recording in progress.
All right, go for it, Ron.
So are we going straight to questions?
Yeah. Fire away, Ron.
Coach, how you doing today?
I'm doing awesome. It was good to get back on the field and start working on some things and have a good little light practice. Guys had great energy, unbelievable care factor, excited to work on things we need. So, a good start this morning and look forward to continuing to work on the game plan the rest of the day.
So the plan going into this weekend's game is to have an up-to-capacity stadium. Can you remember when the last time you saw Albertson Stadium full?
No, I can't specifically recall, Ron. The last game that I was involved in this stadium, it was snowing, and so it was definitely not full that night. But I'm trying to think back. Probably BYU game that year, if it was that one, if I recall.
And that would have been.
I know we're close. I know we're close for this week, huh? We're right there, right at the mark. So we got to push. Bringing that up and being able to say we hadn't been able to do this in a long time. And here we are, on the first week of the first home game, and to be at a position where we very well could sell this out with just a few thousand left. That's awesome.
And to be clear, that last game where you saw it full, that was when you were a coach here at Boise State, or when you were?
Yeah, when I was a coach.
Yeah. And so when the last time you guys played UTEP, you were a player at Boise State. What can you remember about those games and their offense specifically?
Shoot, I know we played them one year. The last year we played them was right after Halloween, and we traveled down there. It was the last time I played them. And it was a physical game, extremely physical game. There was some back and forth, and there were a few special teams plays that had a big part in the game. But we've had, back in the old WAC days, right? That's what we're talking about. We had some unbelievable matches. They had some really good players as we start to look at the film and, over the last couple of days and look at what they look like this year. They have some explosive players on both sides of the ball. And so it's going to be a physical game, especially up front with the way they run the ball and the way they work to stop the run.
Thanks, Coach. Good luck this week.
Thank you.
Hey, Andy, how we doing?
What's going on, Jay?
Good to be back. Andy, home opener coming up, fans in the stands. Probably almost half your roster has never really got to even experience what game day is like at Albertson Stadium. As somebody that has experienced it both as a player and coach, what is the best thing on game day at Albertson Stadium?
I mean, the atmosphere is just it's unique. It's unique. The support from Bronco Nation is unbelievable, and that's one of the biggest things that when you're a part of this, that and being a part of it for so many years, people appreciate from a player side, and just having the support from the community, from the university, from the fans. And it's not the biggest stadium, but it is one of the loudest venues that even I've ever played in or coached in, including SEC stadiums and NFL stadiums. And it's unique that way. And we're looking forward to bringing some of that chaos, and getting some of that chaos in this stadium, this Friday night. It's exciting from the standpoint of everything that, we went through last year, whether it was here or wherever else, in terms of not being able to have fans and be able to get people back in there and create that game day atmosphere. That was awesome last week, being able to go down and play in front of fans, and the players, they loved it. They loved it. They loved the challenge of the crowd noise and going into a hostile place like that. It was an unbelievable, obviously, learning experience for us, but one that we needed.
Now that you've had some time to go back and look at and analyze the game against UCF, what's something that you were really happy about, and what's something that you guys feel like you need to take a step in before you hit the field again on Friday night?
Well, one thing that we're all really happy about is the way we stayed in the fight. Even through the tough times of the game, we saw ourselves. One of the best parts about that game, and it's tough with the outcome, but at the end of the day, you find the positives, and we are able to see what we look like when we are at our best in that game and analyze that. Why? What are the things within, even when we are at our best? What are the things that we can improve on? when we had our lulls in the game, what were the reasons? Were they operationally? What can we do? What do we need to do, starting with us as coaches, that we can control? One of the things that I look at that I'm excited about improving going forward is just making sure that for me in my role, I keep us on schedule throughout the whole game. And we were more deliberate and efficient with our communication and keeping us on schedule. And that's an exciting thing. That's an exciting role. I look forward to that challenge and working on it throughout the course of the week and implementing things in practice that are going to make us respond, that are going to challenge all the coaches, including myself, as well as the players. And I think what we all learn at the end of it, most importantly, is that locker room cares. They care. The care factor in them knowing what it felt like to get rolling, and then knowing what it felt like when we weren't, and the care factor to learn to be more consistent and do the things that we were doing and that we need to do, in the preparation leading up to the game to be consistent. Those are the things that, in a bigger picture sense, Jay, but from the small things that become big things, this game starts at the line of scrimmage. Fundamentally and technically, how we play at the line of scrimmage. We are out there today. We already made strides at creating habits, establishing and defining certain fundamentals and how we're going to coach it, and being unified with that, and making sure that the players have clear communication and a clear idea of how we're going to play certain things. And now we're going to go rep and create those habits. And it was an awesome practice.
Thanks, Andy.
All right, let's go BJ, Bob, and then Will.
Hey, Andy.
What's up, man?
The rush defense, when you went back and looked at the film, I know 255 yards obviously isn't your standard, and UTEP's coming in with 3 guys averaging 6+ yards a carry too. I mean, what'd you see when you look at the running defense? Yeah,
for us, like we just spoke about, it starts with our fundamentals. It starts with how we establish the line of scrimmage, how we play. Number one, with our eyes. Our eyes are extremely important. The discipline we have with our eyes and what we're targeting, what we're seeing from our keys. And then with our eyes, how we're striking with our hands and creating leverage. And we got to have our feet in the ground. And so it's the basic fundamentals that we got to go back to and sharpen up. And with doing so and being able to establish the line of scrimmage, and not just interiorly, not just on the edge, the linebacker position. And then, the secondary gets pulled into the line of scrimmage as well. And so it's a whole effort, and we're excited about improving that. We know we got plenty of room for growth there. From the standpoint of our run fits, our fits were sharp. We did miss some tackles and some holes and on the perimeter and on the edge, some things leverage-wise, BJ, that we can clean up in terms of tracking and making sure, again, this game comes down to the discipline with our eyes and tracking hips and not staring up high and falling for those head fakes and all that stuff. But really being able to use our leverage and know where our help is in certain situations on the perimeter and in the alleys when we're tackling.
What did you think of how your offensive line played in that game? And obviously, I know running the ball was a struggle again, but I don't think Hank took any sacks. What did you think of O-line? And I guess same thing with the line of scrimmage, trying to obviously improve your running game as well.
So we got the ball moving in the first half. We had actually some good we got some movement up front, covered some guys up. I'll be honest with you. When Stetzy went down, it was a little bit difficult to handle the personnel they had inside. And that's football. We got to be able to respond. We got to have answers, and we got to be able to adjust and create. In the course of a football game, it's all about getting ahead of the chains on first down and stopping teams from getting ahead of the chains on first down. That's where, for us as coaches, we can improve, starting with myself and making sure we stay on schedule within the game plan to move on to the next thing, to keep ourselves moving the sticks on first down. We talk about run yards, and I can't go into specifics about what that looks like because I'd be giving away game plans, but there's different ways to get run yards, and it's not always handing the ball off, if you get what I'm saying. And so we've just got to do a better job of identifying what the defense has given us and take those things and get the sticks moving, and then we can, establish the run game as we get moving. We're going to see really good personnel, on defensive fronts. We saw it the other night. At times, we obviously did not handle it well. We had some pre-snap quarterback center exchange issues, and that can't happen. That can't happen. That's worse than a pre-snap penalty on 1st and 10, because at least at that point, we're talking about 1st and 15. And the situations ending the first half, those plays never even got started in our last drive because we went, we had a operational issue with the exchange, which we can clean up. That we can totally clean that up. We can be much more efficient. We're not 2nd and 14, 15. They're backed up coming out of the halftime. Same deal. We can fix those things. Our players are tremendous and they care about it, and we will get that stuff squared away.
Thank you.
And part of the sack deal that you brought up too, BJ, is attributed to the offensive line doing an unbelievable job. Ben Dooley, with the matchups on their edge players. But not only that, but Hank's improvement in his ability to get the ball out of his hands and stay within a progression and have that clock in his head and know who's rushing and know what the challenges are. And so at times we did a really, really good job with that. We operated efficiently. And, there's some serious matchups that our guys won within protections, but that again, because Hank's ability to stay on time, was really good for the majority of the game.
Andy, for a new fan coming to a Boise State home game, for a fan like attending this Friday's game, as a player and coach that's experienced that atmosphere, how would you describe it to a new fan? Well,
I would say this, yes, and with any stadium, there are different chants. I would also say that there are going to be some new elements to this atmosphere at Boise State. Jeremiah and his staff and the plan that we've created to eliminate some of the advertisement throughout the game and get it, fill some of the dead time within the game with entertainment and to keep, the stadium going and not have too many lulls within the stadium. I'm excited to see that too and see what that looks like. Now, obviously, we are the center and focal point of why everybody's there. So it is our responsibility to be able to, play football that incorporates a certain mentality, that incorporates, how we finish and how we work together. And that's going to create excitement within the stands and within the atmosphere.
What do you think of Khalil's performance, having been able to review the film?
Yeah, you didn't have to watch the film to see that. And he was on a play count. Otherwise, he would have been there a lot more. We love our guys, not only Shaq, but everybody else. And we're always going to take their best interests into account. And given a situation he was working through, he really practiced a couple times in a week's time leading up to that. And so he was on a play count and he made the most of those plays that he was in on. Extraordinary, excited that he's feeling great. And, he's back to 100%. And we're really excited, not only about him, but I think there in the first quarter, Hank got the ball to 8 different guys. And that's exciting. That's a feature of the offense. Now, it's obviously important, too, that we make sure that we get certain guys in certain situations.
Thanks, Andy.
Coach, are you there, Coach?
Yep.
Oh, you can hear me. Great. I just wanted to check with you on how you get ready for UTEP. They played a game last night live. They've now played 2 games. Do you watch them live? Do you just look at it recorded after it's done? How do you get ready for UTEP, and what did you see in them?
Both. To answer your question, I watched the game live last night. I wanted to see the operation from a big picture standpoint. I wanted to see how they move on and off the field. I want to see how they substitute. I want to see how they operate. We often get TV copies, not just the footage filmed by the program from the end zone and from the sideline, and that helps get a better understanding of the operation. Helps get a better understanding of what they look like in the pre-snap, so that we can put a game plan together and create advantages for ourselves in a lot of different scenarios. So we watched the game last night on the ESPN app, and then as soon as we got it, we broke it down and identified to see the similarities in all 3 phases from the previous game that they played.
Give me a Cliff Notes version of, what can I expect to see? What did they run? What do they look like? What do you think they do best?
Well, offensively, it's already been said on here. They got they got 3 running backs that are over 6 yards a pop, and other guys that are there nearing the 5-yard average mark. So that tells you what they're doing on offense. Their O-line is big, and you turn on the film and they run all the schemes. And so this is going to be an unbelievable opportunity for us this week to sharpen our tools and get ready, because we got another run game coming at us. And how disciplined we are with our eyes and our fits. They can run all the schemes. The O-line is athletic. They run inside zone. They run outside zone. They got the feet to do so. They got the feet to pull out on the perimeter. They run power. So they're going to run all the schemes. And we need the work. We need to have an unbelievable week in terms of our prep, because you guys know what's going to come off that run game too. As soon as you start sucking up into the run game and all that, the play actions, the boots, and those things come off of the run looks. They have the ability to spread it out a little bit and attack vertically. They got some wide receivers that can stretch the field and run vertical. And although they've only had about 40 attempts, on the year, they've been accurate and been able to create some explosive plays. And defensively, they're going to play a mixture of cover ones and playing some man, and then playing some cover 4 as well. And they've got some personnel up front in terms of their D tackles. They got some big guys that got some twitch, and we're going to see, how we improve this week and from our first opportunity and what we learn. And that's the challenge of the season. And that's a great thing of the season, is to see where you're at in the first game and where you can grow from there.
Thanks, Coach.
Paul J, do you have a question?
Yes. Coach, I was going to ask you a little bit about what they did defensively. You've already done that. I thought one of the good things, your punter, 2 60-yard punts, one right before the end of the first half and one which kind of flipped the field later on in the ball game. I thought he was magnificent, averaging 51 yards a punt.
Paul J, that was big time. You talk about flipping the field. There was one instance there where, we were probably punting from about the 15-yard line and, just before the half, and they put the punt returner right on the 50-yard line. And I'm like, my eyes are messed up, or there ain't no way. Cause Joel's going to come up big right now, and he's going to get a hold of this thing and flip the field. That's what we need him to do. And he came through and he booted that thing now. And that was big time by him. And he had heat coming in his face on the one that we're talking about too. There was heavy pressure by their punt block team, and it didn't phase him. He did a tremendous job in that game, keeping the defense, off the logo, or in the plus, starting in the plus territory.
How would you categorize UTEP's quarterback? He doesn't throw the ball too much. They run the ball most of the time. But how would you categorize him? What kind of a quarterback are we going to see?
Yeah, so they've actually used 2. They got a pocket guy that, he has got the majority of the attempts. Again, he has the ability to run around a little bit, but he's going to stay in the pocket. He's going to work the play action game. He's got a strong arm. He can throw the ball down the field. There's plenty of examples of that on film. They also have a quarterback they put in there that they like to run the ball with, is more of a running quarterback. So being able to identify that personnel and knowing what they like to do with both of those guys within their game plan is going to be important for our guys.
Thanks, Coach.
Hey, Andy, I was just wondering, as we get a big game coming up 2 weeks from now. You guys got a big game in Oklahoma State. How do you keep your guys focused on this upcoming week's game?
We got so many things that we've learned from our last game that we ain't got time to think about anything but showing up here every morning. And that's our challenge. That's our challenge right now, is every single morning, how we show up here, what our care factor looks like, and wanting to impact ourselves and impact our team. And that's all we're focused on right now. I think there's plenty of examples of what college football looks like from this weekend. And that's the first thing we asked them. And a lot of them watched college football yesterday and know what happened through the course of different games. And ultimately, what we got to even become more consistent with is being able to focus on what we could control each and every day. And as we do that, we will build consistency within the habits that it's going to take to become the team that we can.
Thank you.
Jay, do you want to go with your follow-up and then BJ?
Yeah. Andy, when you go back and you look at some of the big plays that you guys made against UCF, whether it be the touchdown return, either of Khalil's touchdowns, the first one specifically, CT had an incredible effort picking up 2 blocks. What does that say about the selflessness of some of the guys on your team and what they think about their teammates?
That's the part that is like, Jay, if you were underneath those stands before when everything was going on, you saw how everybody was calm. Everybody was trying to take care of each other. That's what it's all about. That's what we're building into this program. That's the most important thing, is that when we can align our self-interest with the greater good, and we can understand that how we impact other people is going to help how we grow, how we help have more of a servant mindset in terms of taking care of each other, that shows on the field. And, not only for Shaq, and it was CT, and who was it, Kurt, over there blocking. That was like a combo block.
It was actually Cyrus.
Or on Cyrus on that one. There was another one on the RPO out of the bunch.
Yeah.
Right. Where it was Kurt and another wide receiver. It might have been Steph. And that's a combo block that a typical tight end, maybe a tackle or a tackle and a guard execute. And those guys move the perimeter. That's what we're talking about. Those are run yards. There's different ways. And as a team, we can do those things. We can find ways to create our yardage on first, second downs. And that's what our staff is excited to improve upon for ourselves, because our players have shown we have the ability to do it. We have the ability to do it in different facets, and we will do a better job because they will execute and get that stuff done. But that was awesome to see. It was awesome to see the effort that Tyreek needed to get to the end zone on that interception. How many blocks he got. That's what it's all about. And we got to continue to play team football. And it shows, our SWAT, our special teams, the way we covered the field, the effort on that stuff, the physicality we played with. That's the window that shows you what the mentality of our team is, because it's when everybody comes together from offense, defense, and then what do we look like when we're working together. And there's definitely areas we can improve on, within that as well. But the mentality of which the guys played with, we can definitely, we're excited about that, and we can grow off of that.
Thanks, Andy.
Hey, Andy, with the targeting call on Kekala, I know in the past they had that rule where you had to leave the field, go to the locker room, and now he got to stay. So for the first half, when he's out, can he at least be on the sidelines now? I know in the past he had to be. What do you do defensively for that first half with him out?
Right. So, it's a new rule. They can stay on the sideline. They make it very clear he doesn't have to go in. You don't have to sit in there, but, obviously they cannot play. And so, yes, it's a bang bang play. It's a specialty route. It's a difficult route to manage and handle. And he saw it at the last second. He kicked 180, flipped his hips, ran back, and tried to break it up. We can be how we handle that situation next time. We always, whether we're blocking on offense, we're tackling, we got to stay within the strike zone. And the strike zones from the numbers down. And so we got to make sure that we're doing a good job with that. He's competing again, and it's a bang, bang play. We will take the opportunity to develop and build depth, obviously making sure that we have a plan. Rodney has been the backup there through the course of the spring and fall camp. And Rodney's been unbelievable on special teams. He provides a spark, the momentum and the effort he gives flying down the field on kickoff, what he does, on our punt team and all the teams he plays on. He does a really, really good job. So, he's going to have to do a really good job preparing. We're going to do a really good job getting him ready this week to step up and handle it in that first half.
Thanks.
Coach, we saw Scott Matlock on the offensive side of the ball in a big 4th and 1. What about him made you comfortable putting him in that position, and how did he perform as a blocker?
Well, we've used that in fall camp a couple different times in goal line situations, and that was a pivotal point in the game. And so, we hadn't used it in the game. They had not seen it. So we had not actually used it out in the field in practice. It's only been a goal line situation. We felt we needed that yard, and Scott, when he's been in there in practice, it looks a little bit different when him and OJ get together in combo on somebody, and they did a really good job. Now the defense, adjusted and moved to more of a sneak defense. They expected for us to sneak the ball there, and because Hank was underneath center, and so that we were able to create a wall. And Andrew Van Buren, he knows the two guys he needs to get behind on that play, and he did a great job of doing that and getting through there.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you, Coach. We appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. Have a great day.
Thanks, Andy.
Recording stopped.
Let's go ahead and keep it at 2 for the first round through this, and we'll go BJ, Jay, and then Ron to start.
Spencer or Tim first? Okay.
BJ, you cut out.
I was asking if Spencer or Tim was first.
There you go. Hey, Coach, you got us okay?
Gotcha.
All right, I'm going to start recording, and then BJ, you can kick it off.
Recording in progress.
One, Tim, once you went back and looked at the film, what were your major takeaways from that one?
I mean, there's some things to be really proud of and some things to really build on. I think if you watch that first half and see us get into our rhythm and get into our tempo and distribute the ball to a lot of people, I mean, that's really what we want to do. That's what we want our identity to be. And there were some times there where we were doing it at a pretty high level. I know the guys were having a lot of fun. And so I thought some things we can really build on there. And then there's some things you can really grow and learn from. And you look at that third quarter, which a lot of people are going to focus on. And there's just so many things that go into us struggling there. And everyone's got a little hand in it. And so, but great opportunity to learn from that, grow from it. And first time doing the offense in a real game together, expecting some good and some bad. So some things we can learn from for sure.
I know George, being out is a big part of it, but the running game struggled again, and that was kind of a storyline last year. Before you got here, was the running game struggling. What'd you make of the running game, and for your offense to work the way you want it to? How badly do you need to get the running game going?
Anytime you want to win football games as a team, you're going to need to be able to run the football and stop the run. I think the thing that is hard maybe for people outside to understand is that there's a lot of things that go into our run game right now. And, almost every run play we have is going to have some type of pass option with it. And so sometimes we complete a pass and you guys are like, oh, that's another good pass play, when really it was a run play that turned out to be pass yards. So it may go in the pass yard column, at the end of the game, but really that was part of our run game too. So we got to do a good job of as a staff of coming up with a good plan that can fit the guys that we have. Obviously, we lost Stets in the middle of the game, and I thought early on in the game we were having some success running the ball, and then lost Stets, and their interior of the D-line kind of got after us a little bit. And we got to do a better job as a staff adjusting and getting ourselves in better run schemes. And then also just, again, knowing our style of offense and how it works is we got to do a better job on first down, whether it's run or pass, so that we can get into our tempo and then wear teams out, by moving the football to a lot of different people.
Thanks, Tim.
Yeah. Thanks, BJ.
Hey, Tim, how's it going?
Hey, Jay.
In your offense, how much do you ask of your offensive linemen? Because they certainly seem to pull and stuff a lot more than maybe, the previous offense that was ran here. And you brought up Jake Stets, but how much did that hurt losing Jake? Because once again, it caused you guys to shuffle the deck for a second or third time in that game already up front.
Yeah, continuity up front is such an important part of what you do, and we got a bunch of good players up front, but we had Kakani out of the game with some various things that are bothering him, and then Garrett Kearns struggling through some things, and then you lose Stets. You got guys like Ben Dooley and Will that are making really their first start, so you just got a lot of moving parts going on up front. Plus, you're going against a D line that I think is pretty dang good. So you put all those together. And you're right. We're going to ask those guys to do a lot of different things in the run game. We're not going to just run your basic schemes, but we had to get pretty simple there in the third quarter with what was going on. And I know that, some of those runs on our inside zone stuff that, again, didn't work out in the third quarter the way we wanted to. And, again, there were some pass compliments to that were being called on those plays that we could have thrown the ball, could have ran the ball. Those are the same plays that we call early in the game where it ends up being successful. And then, they adjust and make some good plays on it. So anytime we shuffle the deck, you're going to have some issues. And but again, that's every team. Like I said, there's no excuse for that. Us as a staff, we got to come up with a good plan that works with the guys that are in. And we didn't do that early on in the third quarter, and that hurt us for sure.
So when we look at your offense, our sample size is still so small right now. Not a ton of like vertical throws. On that note, some of your wide receivers were outstanding blocking down the field on some of these catches, whether it be, CT on Khalil's first touchdown or Billy and Davis on his second touchdown. How important is that in your offense?
Yeah, I think there's two types of effort in football. There's your initial effort, which is kind of your responsibility, and then there's your recovery effort that you add in after the play. And there were some great clips of guys with just relentless finish on some of those plays, and led to us having a lot of explosive plays. We were upwards of 12% of our snaps were explosive plays, which is really good. It's just the negative plays that we had. We had too many negative plays that got us. And I'm definitely not a conservative guy, and I know that that's something I'm going to be painted with after the third quarter. And trust me, if I walk down the street right now, that's what people are going to yell at me. But that's definitely not who I am. I'm an aggressive play caller, and trust me, we're going to take plenty of shots down the field. But every game is going to be unique. We got to do what we need to do to win that game. And the issue with that game, as we all know, was, you could probably answer it for me, is the defensive line. They got a great D line. They got the crowd noise. So just dropping back and chucking the ball deep down the field, as much as everybody wants to do that. And there's a lot of offensive coordinators in Boise, I've learned, that want to do that. But, some games, that's not the way we're going to move it. Sometimes you got to get the ball out of your hand. And we did a good job of that early. Should have done more of that in the second half. And that's the thing I really regret. We should have done more of that in the second half.
Man, tell neighbor Bob to take it easy on you then. Yeah. Thank you, Tim.
Thanks, Jay.
Hey, Tim, how's it going today?
Hey, what's up, Ron?
So as you look early in the game, Van Buren and Habibi Leak, both of them were really explosive, hit some nice runs. Second half, those were gone. Was there an adjustment by the defense? Was that play calling? Was that an effort thing? What changed in the second half?
No, I think we called pretty much the same plays from a run standpoint, and that's why we stuck with those plays. To be quite honest, is we were having some success. I know we had the play with Van Buren on the pin and pull down there in the first quarter. That was like big run. Then we had some inside zones. The second play of the game, big run. I think it was the 11th play of the game for Cyrus, another big run on inside zone on a second and long. So we're having some success doing that. So yeah, we're going to keep doing it. I think, to be honest, we lost Jake Stets, and their interior D line was really talented, and they got really hot, and they got some momentum going, and they were getting off the ball with the crowd noise. And that's where we should have made a better adjustment as a staff and just said, you know what, let's get back to getting the ball out of our hand and trying to get our tempo going so we can get this thing started. And those are the mistakes we made for sure. Again, I think people will point to, hey, don't run the ball, just throw it every play. But I think it's more about just either way, no matter what we choose to do, we just got to be better on first down so that we can get into a rhythm and get our tempo started. And that's a key to our offense, really.
Looking ahead to this week, what stands out about UTEP's defense?
Man, those guys play really hard. They got an aggressive style of defense. They're obviously playing with a lot of confidence right now, and got some good players at all three levels of the defense. So they're going to pose a really good challenge, and we're looking forward to it.
Thanks, man. Good luck.
Thanks, Ron.
Let's go Bob and then Will. Or Will, you can go ahead and go.
Hey, Tim, having gone so long in between coaching actual games, what was it like for you being able to actually coach in a game?
Man, that was awesome. That was the coolest thing ever. It was hard not to get emotional when like the national anthem was playing, and when the rain delay was going on, I was like, man, can we get a game going right now? Like if this game gets delayed, I don't know what I'm going to do. It was really cool, very emotional just to be able to be out there and be a part of that. And, to be, a Boise State Bronco and represent what is a very important brand, and just feeling very fortunate. Obviously wish we would have came out with a W, but like I said, I think there were some good things there we could build on, but that was definitely fun to be back on the football field.
I know Andy said post-game that Khalil was on a snap count for you guys, but in the plays that he did play, what did you think of his performance?
Man, he's unbelievable, isn't he? I mean, just like, holy smokes. I think he played 20 snaps, and I think he touched the ball 8 of the 20 snaps. And if you count the run, I think he had over 100 yards. I mean, and 2 touchdowns. So, he's tremendous. And the fact that we could use him was great. And not having him on a full schedule, not having George, not having Kakani. I mean, Garrett's bang. I mean, we can list all these things and it can become excuses, but everyone's banged up. We got to find a way to get more guys going. And early on, we got a lot of guys the ball, and that was really good to see that we have other guys that can do it. But I mean, when that guy's healthy and playing a lot, obviously he's going to get the ball a lot. And when he does, that's the best thing for us. That guy's a heck of a player. The hype is real.
Thanks, Tim.
Thanks, Will.
Paul J, do you have a question?
Coach, what's the attitude of your offensive players? And is there anyone else that you can kind of share the Shaq type plays with? Is there anybody else on the team that can do them? Maybe not as well, but do them?
The attitude of our offense, I mean, I think it starts with us. We're an attack-minded team. We're an attack-minded offense. We're a group that, seeks joy every day in what we're trying to do. And, I think we have fun out there and execute at a high level. We want to be precise in understanding situational football, finishing in the red zone, which we did a good job of in the last game. So I think that's the attitude of the offense. And then, every player is unique. Is there another Shaq? No. I mean, he's a one-of-a-kind player. But, we do have talented guys that can do those things. I think CT can do those things. I think Steph Cobbs can do those things. And I think we got another list of guys in the running back. I think George can do those things. I think we got plenty of guys that can do those things. But can anyone do it like Shaq? No. But then that's what makes everybody unique. Maybe CT can't do it like Shaq, but no one can do it like CT either. Everyone's going to be unique to their strengths. But to answer your question, I would say no one can do it like Shaq, but we have people that can do those plays and be successful with it. Yeah.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Paul.
Ron, Jay, BJ for follow-ups.
Oh, sorry, you said Ron. Sorry. Coach, you kind of touched on this a second ago, but going back to the second half in that game, early on in that game when you guys were rolling the offense, you guys are hitting some throws, you guys had some success through the air. You went away from that in the third quarter. I get it, hindsight 2020, but do you kind of regret that decision at this point? Yeah,
absolutely. I think anytime, you guys are going to get to know me and I'm going to get to know you guys as we keep going through the season. And obviously as an offensive coordinator, it's always going to be the play calling that's going to be brought up, and we can have these conversations every week, and I'm all for it. But yeah, there's always going to be plays you regret when you call, and some of them you guys don't even think we regret them. Like there's plays in the first half that you guys don't even realize. I'm like, man, that was not a good call either. But I think the things in the second half to point to are, and, we can go drive if you want with the photographic memory, but it's like, hey, end of first half, fumbled the snap, first play. So that drive in trouble. First drive of the second half, fumbled the snap, first play. So again, that drive in trouble. Okay. The next drive, we're calling an RPO on the first play. So he could pass it or run it. And it ends up being a run. And everyone's like, man, why are we running the ball? But that could be a pass, if you get the certain look that you want. And then we end up throwing the ball on third down and it's incomplete. And the next drive, we do a run play. It's an RPO. Again, he ends up handing it off. He could have thrown it. I mean, that's how it looks. Next two plays are pass. So, I mean, I think everyone says, hey, why'd you run the ball so much? But the truth is, like, those are the same plays you're calling early in the game. But in this style of offense, it's an RPO. So it could be a run or it could be a pass. And I think the thing that we should have done a better job of as a staff is what you were talking about, Ron, of just saying, hey, let's just drop back and take these quick throws that we're getting and get ourselves off to a good start here on first down. And maybe the RPO game is something we can wait for later on in the drive. But yeah, I think the regret I have is in the third quarter, just looking at it from where the game was, we could have taken those throws probably. And our guys were having success on the perimeter, and we probably could have dropped back and thrown a couple more of those.
Thanks, Coach.
Yep.
Tim, how do you sit down and analyze the game with Hank? And I know that you have a kind of a mantra, a finder of joy. So how do you find the good and improve upon maybe some of the things that you might want to see him do better? And then on top of that, how much did Hank, demonstrate probably his best attribute in that game, his toughness?
Yeah, no, I think great question. And, this is one I can go into length of, but, I shouldn't say you guys, but the media and the fans, they're going to judge every coach and every player by wins and losses, as they should, right? I mean, that's how this works. That's kind of the life we've chosen, and I'm all good with that. And because of that, we can't judge ourselves on wins and losses because you guys are already going to do it, right? So what we got to judge ourselves on is the process and how we're working towards being the best we can be. And that's tough when you're a guy like Hank. And everyone's going to focus on one poor decision at the end of the game that he's got to live with. And I'm sure I hope he turns off his social media, but if he didn't, I'm sure there's not nice comments coming his way from a lot of people a lot of quarterbacks in Boise too, a lot of quarterbacks and a lot of offense coordinators, right? But I thought he showed some tremendous toughness throughout the game. I thought he showed some great accuracy throughout the game. You watched him early in that game. What was his first 9 completions to 9 different receivers? He didn't take one sack that game. I mean, I don't know in his career how many games he's played, but he's taken a lot of sacks. He got the ball out of his hand. He took some big hits and hung in there. And he was driving us right down the field. There was no doubt in our mind we were going to drive right down there and score. And he wants to win really bad and made a poor decision there at the end. And he's got to live with that. But again, I think just like our staff, our entire offense, a lot of positives that we can build on and still a lot of things we can get better at. That should be exciting for us, is to say, hey, we're not going to judge ourselves by the results. That's for everybody else to do. We're going to focus on the process, and you can find joy in a bad play the same way you can find it in a good play if you look at it the right way, which is I can learn from this. If I learn from this and I don't make that mistake again, I'm going to be a better player for it. I'm thankful for that moment because it's going to make me better.
Thanks,
Thanks,
at center, we saw Dante was atop the depth chart, but I don't know if that was just because of the Keikani being injured or what. And I don't know if you can say if you guys are expecting to have Keikani back. I mean, you mentioned some of the snap issues. And also, I guess just in general, offensively, do you expect to be healthier against UTEP?
That's a tough question, BJ. I mean, I don't know yet, probably because it's early in the week. I hope so, right? Usually a week later, guys have more time to get healthier. So I'm hoping we get some guys back. With Keikani not being available, obviously Dante has to step up and be the guy. And we were hoping maybe Keikani could go a little bit. And as we got closer to the game, we realized he couldn't. And Dante was thrown into a real tough situation. I thought he actually handled himself really well. You got the crowd noise. You got the pass rush with the interior talent that they have. The whole game. I mean, you try, BJ, you try sticking your head between your legs and waiting for the snap because it's so loud. And then you got to look up and snap it. And you got these guys coming at you. So it's not easy. And that's the first game to get thrown into that atmosphere. So I thought he actually handled himself well. And we did have the snap issues. We had one that was a bad snap and one that Hank dropped. I think that comes from the home field advantage of the crowd noise, and we should have handled that a lot better. But I think Dante's a heck of a player, works really hard. He's a big part of our culture and what we do, and he hung in there and fought his butt off. And hopefully we have Kakani back, not because that replaces Dante, but Kakani is a great player, and we need more help right now to have more depth up front.
You don't want me trying that, Coach. Is the reason I'm a sports writer. And
it's hard. You can ask Coach Keene. We beat Stanford, and the only two plays they ever show are the fumble that he had and the sack that he gave up. So that's how it works.
Impressive O-lineman.
Yep.
All right. Thank you so much, Coach.
All right, guys.
Thank you.
Have a good week.
Thanks,
Yep.
Tim.
We'll see
Thanks,
you.
Coach.
Recording stopped.
All right. For the last one, we'll stick with 2, and we'll go Jay, Ron, BJ to start.
What's up, guys?
Hey, Coach. How are you?
I'm doing okay. How are you guys doing?
Good. All right, Jay, you want to kick us off?
Recording in progress.
How we doing, Spencer?
Good, Jay. Good to see you again.
Good to see you too. A little drier this time, which is nice.
No doubt.
Hey, Spencer, honestly, I could sugarcoat this question, but I'm just going to be direct. What happened in the run game against UCF, and how do you guys fix that thing moving forward?
Yeah, obviously disappointing, especially the yards we gave up. I mean, run and pass, it's not something we are proud of and got to work to get it fixed. And it's all 3 phases. I mean, there's things we got to clean up front from the D line to the edge players, some of the fits with the backers. There's some tackling issues. There's some situations where they ran the ball. We thought they're going to pass, and I probably could have put them in better calls. So obviously, first and foremost, I take responsibility of it. And then from all 3 phases, we're going to get it fixed. And a lot of it starts just with fundamentals and techniques, playing those better, and not guessing and trying to play different calls. So it's a fundamentals and technique deal, as well as just obviously putting them in good situations.
Spencer, with J.L. Skinner over the offseason, he said he really worked on his confidence, and he credited the coaching staff for helping him with that. On UCF's first touchdown drive, he missed a couple of tackles that probably hurt at that time. But the way that he came back and played, how much did that show of his growth, and how impressed were you with with JL's physicality and just ability to fly around in that game.
Yeah, it was huge, Jay. And that's been, a huge thing for JL and his growth. And we use the term neutral mindset to where, you don't get too high at the highs, too low at the lows. You can focus on the facts to have a positive response. And that's something that he struggled with in the past. And everybody does to some extent, right? But he's grown so much, and you can even see him and talking to the guys on the sideline, him talking about, next play, like we're going to be fine, next play, and keeping other people's confidence up as he keeps his own, because as the game goes throughout, he played really well. And there's things that even, we talk with him, he can even be better, but it's cool to see him respond, even after making, maybe a bad play or a bad decision, having him come back and make some big ones after that is huge.
Thank you, Spencer.
Thanks, Jay.
Hey, Spence, how's it going?
What's up, Ron?
So we've heard a lot about the fundamentals of tackling and how that was missing in the game. But now that you're in the season and you don't have the same amount of practice time as in the fall, how do you address those fundamentals?
No, good question, Ron. I mean, we have obviously tons of drills to, we break down tackling the 3 phases, which is tracking, punch, and finish. And so it's, one of those is usually screwed up, if not all of them, with a missed tackle. More times than not, it goes with your eyes. Your eyes are high, you're looking at the ball carrier's head, and those tailbacks were good. And if our eyes aren't right and our angles aren't right, then we're going to miss, which showed up a lot. Showed up either in attacking the quarterback and some of our pocket leverage, the amount of scramble yards we gave up, as well as those tailbacks or receivers in the open field. So we have different drills that we're going to work with our guys, different from all 3 phases that we're going to work throughout the week. And then just obviously having an understanding and an emphasis of how we teach it from the meeting room to the practice field to get that stuff fixed, because we need to.
And we didn't see Scale much in the game, but Scott really stood out in some pretty key areas. His first big sack, he just drove the left tackle 3-4 yards behind the line and got the sack. What stands out the most about him this season to you?
Just his prep. How he preps himself physically to mentally is awesome to see. He's a kid that, like I've talked before, he's going to be the first one here, one of the last ones to leave, and seeing, things go well for him is awesome. Obviously, even talking with him, there's so much he needs to grow on, and we're excited for him to take that step, because he hasn't even reached his potential in regards to how he can play in all downs. And so I'm excited to see his growth too.
You think we'll see him as a blocker a little bit more?
I told Coach Plough, man, we gotta be smart on him, but I know he loves it. I love the connectedness.
Good luck.
Thanks, Ron.
How are you, Spencer?
Hey, BJ, congrats on the win, man.
The only time all year you'll be able to say that, so I appreciate it. I've lost my train of thought, man.
All right, BJ, see you, brother.
I'm singing the fight song. Yeah, I'll take care. Kala Kinneo's targeting call. Just what does that do for you guys in the first half against UTEP, and what's your plan there, and what do you Andy said it was just kind of a bang bang play, and you just what was your take on that?
Yeah, I agree. Bang, bang play, balls in the air, and you're trying to go play the ball, and then all of a sudden the man's there. Obviously, you look at it, it's targeting. Wasn't an intentional deal by him by any means, but it is. And so now obviously it's our plan as coaches to plan on what it looks like for the first half against UTEP, especially at the nickel position, and getting Rodney Robinson running, which I was excited that he was ready to go. He had a really good game on special teams, and cool to see Rodney come in and contribute when Kala came out the targeting penalties. So we're going to have him, and then work on some other guys rolling in at that position too. So it's going to be another way that we can create depth at that position while Kala's on the sideline for the first half.
With Tyreek LaBeouf and those 2 interceptions, I mean, he was a guy that I think everybody, media, fans, whatever, thought Markell was going to get one of the spots. And then all the transfers you guys brought in, they were kind of being brought up as the leading guys. And, Tyreek LaBeouf quietly wins the job. And then in the first game has 2 picks, had the 1 pick last year. I mean, what can you say about him and the job that he did in that game, and, the outlook for him moving forward?
Yeah, I was really excited for Tyreek, especially always been through to get to that point, and the work he's put in to get to that point too. And just like every position, I'm going to keep hitting. And, there's obviously a lot of growth that still needs to happen. But it was just cool to see him get those interceptions. Obviously, huge plays for our team in that game. We needed them, but it's cool to see him come up with them, and also being able to find some different things for him to where he can see on film plays that he's doing what we want him to do, playing with the right techniques, and he's playing well. And there's some plays that he can grow. Just like every position and just like every coach, there's always some good, and there's some things you can look at and be like, man, if we played this the way, you know, we're teaching, this can even be better than it was. So excited for him to take a big step from week 1 to week 2, but proud of what he did over fall camp. And he takes coaching. He's a great kid to be around. I'm excited for him to keep growing.
Thanks, man.
Thanks, BJ.
Bob and Will.
Spencer, I want to ask a little bit about UTEP. It looks like they run the ball pretty well with multiple backs. Tell me what we want to expect to see from them, and maybe the styles of the running backs and what you guys will need to do to slow them down.
Yeah, UTEP, obviously a physical running team. They got a good O-line, really good backs, multiple run schemes. They operate out of 21 personnel, 12. They got a lot of personnel, a lot of run schemes. So excited for the challenge. I know our guys are excited to get back on the field to take the next step in this season. But it's going to be a good challenge for us. And, obviously started game planning them a little bit over the summertime and yesterday. So cool to watch a little bit of their game last night on TV. And so we're getting that broke down, but it's going to be a good challenge. Like I said, they've got multiple running backs that can play, that can run, that are tough to tackle. They got a big old line that can move their feet, and they got tight ends and fullbacks that are going to go get you. So excited for the task. I know our guys are excited for the task as well and excited to get back on the field.
When you look at the game against UCF, if I said there was one thing that you could definitely have improved for week number 2, what would you want to focus on?
Yeah, the biggest thing that I'm excited to grow on, I mean, obviously there's a long list, but tackling will be one of them. You know, we can control that. We can get that fixed, the angles, the eyes, and when we get to it, and then, keeping the quarterback contained in the pocket. Those would be the two things that, you take away some of the scrambles that he gets out, can make throws, or he takes off on long runs, then some of the missed tackles, you're in a better place. And so there's a lot to grow in. There's a lot I need to grow in, and we're going to.
Thanks.
Thanks, Bob.
Hey, Spence, what do you think of the performance from Isaiah Banya?
Excited for him, Will. Just the adversity he's gone through, he's been banged up, and he's had guys that have, essentially gotten the starting job in front of him. And it's just so cool to see. And I actually talked to our defense this morning about it, because it's just cool to see him grow in the things that he needed to work on and come out on a stage like that and get 2 sacks, which was awesome. And he even had a couple more he could get when he continues to grow in it. And he's got the skill set you need at the edge. He's got the twitch. He has the ability, and Coach Collins has done a great job with Isaiah and seeing him grow and how, he's a fundamental player now and understands the defense much better. So I'm excited for him to take a big step from week 1 to week 2, because in college football, that's the biggest thing. You see guys, regardless of how week 1 goes, obviously it didn't go the way we wanted to by any means, but I'm excited just from our staff to our players, just, how are we going to take that growth step from week 1 to week 2? And that's crucial. And I'm excited to see Isaiah do the same.
Spence, how would you describe the energy, the buzz, the excitement inside the blue for a home opener?
Oh man, I can't wait. It's been a couple years, and I got to watch some YouTube videos just to remind myself of what it feels like. It was even when the spring game happened and whenever we had, 6,000 fans, I know when our players walked out, it felt like it was packed, because they were used to the 2 guys and the fans. BJ snuck in, and then there was one other, you know what I mean? That's all there was last year. And so it was cool just to see that, and excited for our guys to experience, a full stadium with a fan base that loves them. And obviously you work your tail off for the 8-9 months to get to these games that you can perform in front of your fans. So it's going to be rock, and I'm excited for Boise Nation to be here. I'm excited for our guys and the task we have at hand.
Thanks, Spence.
Thanks, Will.
Paul J.
Coach, you're playing a team that last game against Bethune-Cookman ran the ball 70% of the time. They like to run the ball a lot. Is it easier or harder to prepare a team that is going to run it 3 out of 4 times as regarded to a team who surprises you with a run?
No, good question, Paul J. I mean, at the end of the day, for us, especially on defense, we have to react to whatever a team does, which is obvious. But a team, like UTEP and like some of those teams out there where they're going to run the ball more than they're going to throw it. Obviously, your game plan's a little bit different. But at the end of the day, us as coaches just want to put our guys in good situations and teach them to have the fundamentals to go make the plays when they're there, because at some point we don't, we have some stats and different times where we think they're going to throw it or they're going to give different runs, but we don't know it. So it's putting our guys in good situation with good calls where they can go out and operate with the right techniques, whatever those might be, to achieve the success they have. So at the end of the day, I mean, you've got a better idea in regards to playing some of these teams that run the ball a lot, like a UTEP or a Wyoming. But at the end of the day, it all comes down to execution, and the best team that executes is going to have success.
Do you try to stop the run and force them to pass?
Yeah, I mean, for us on defense, we want to be on the attack no matter what it is. It's not something where we're going to stop the run and we'll give up pass. But at the end of the day, we're going to, against a team like UTEP, and it's our number one goal, regardless who we play, is going to be stopping the run. And we know we need to do that this week. We need to take a big step from week one.
Thanks, George.
Thanks, Paul J.
All right, real quick, we'll go back through Jay, Ron, BJ, if you have any follow-ups.
I do. Spencer, when it comes to Rodney Robinson, what can you tell us about Rodney Robinson, what he brings to the table? I mean, obviously, Kekala went down, and like the very first play Rodney comes in, he comes up and he almost makes a TFL. I was laughing about like one of his on kickoff one time, the kid gets blown up, but he gets right back up and finishes off, running through the end zone. What can you tell us about Rodney Robinson?
Yeah, Rodney. I mean, first and foremost for Rodney, I mean, when I think of Rodney, I think of juice. I mean, he is fun to be around. He is always bringing the energy to whatever situation I'd be. It could be a team meeting to the practice field. I mean, he's bringing that life, that energy, always has a big smile on his face. And the second thing that comes to mind when I think of Rodney is football player. I mean, that's who he is. That's who he was in high school. He was a 2-time defensive player of the year in his conference. That's who he is. He's a football player, and he's undersized, but he makes up for it with being extremely savvy. He's fast, he's explosive, and he's very smart. And he understands how to use his body to make plays. And it's cool seeing him, what he did on special teams, and then being ready to roll when call went down with the targeting call, seeing him come in and not skip a beat. And you could tell that he had been prepping the way he needed to, because he came in and he was ready to roll. And so excited for him to take that step now that call is on the sideline for a half and see, all right, Rodney, you want to be the guy at some point. Now here's your chance to show what it looks like. I know he's excited for the challenge.
Will you have to change who sorts things out? And can Rodney handle that?
Say it one more time.
What will you? I mean, Kekala is such a communicator back there.
Oh yeah.
Can Rodney handle that?
He's going to grow into it. I know we even worked some of it today, and he knows it. It's just that confidence that comes with the prep to be able to do it at a high level like Kekala does. Obviously, there's going to be guys around him that need to also pick up the slack with Kekala out, because Kekala is one of those players that when you don't have him, I mean, there's a good void. And so the players around him picking it up, but also Rodney stepping into those shoes and being confident in what he does know to be able to communicate on the field and get things right is going to be huge.
Thank you, Spencer.
Thanks, Jeff.
Since on Thursday, I don't think we saw Scale on the field at all until the third quarter. Can you just talk a little bit about how important he is in terms of run defense and about his availability this week?
Yeah, and at the end of the day, guys, depth chart wise and some of those things, I'll be dealing with Coach Al. But for us, our guys are going to compete. The best players are going to play, and at the end of the day, I love Scale, and he brings a lot to the table, just like every single one of our players. Got stuff to grow in, just like coaches do. And so the big message for me with him, with the rest of our D-line, linebackers, DBs, is we did some good things on Thursday night. We did some things that we need to grow in, and let's take a big step to week 2.
How important is he to the run and to run defense?
I mean, he's a big part of it, and he's a really good football player. And when he's doing what he should be doing and playing with good fundamentals and technique, he's one of the best. And so excited to see him just continue to grow in that. And, him with Scott Matlock, with Jackson Cravens, with Divine, Mike Callahan, like these guys are, and Coach Miley's doing a good job with them. They just need to keep taking steps in the right direction, and they're going to grow and learn from week 1.
Thanks, man.
Thanks, Ron.
I think 3 takeaways a game is your guys' goal, right? Or has been in the past. And
it is. Yep.
You got 2, and the one you almost could have had for 3 ended up being a huge swing in the game, the interception over the middle that you guys could have had. I mean, I know it's easy to look back and say it, but how different could the game have been if you could hold on to that one?
Yeah, BJ. I mean, it's tough. I mean, there's multiple plays in the game that you look at, and I'll be the first to tell you that, you look at it and you can kind of think about if it goes different, what it looks like from either, that pick or a tackle here or whatever it might be. I mean, those games that are tight like that or can swing back and forth so quickly. I mean, you're on that razor's edge, especially playing defense. You get that pick and you're, could be a different game, could not be. I don't know. Obviously, we have to get those in the future, and that's kind of our talk with the team. Is, we got to create takeaways. And we got 2. We had 1 4th down stop, which was awesome, but our goal is 3, and we needed that one. There's obviously other ones on the table. The ball was on the ground one time. We got it out and didn't jump on it. So there's multiple opportunities that we didn't capitalize on that we need to. And in that game and in the games to come, we're gonna need them.
We were talking to Tim, Plough, a lot about the third quarter. Defensively in that third quarter, I mean, they had some momentum going. It wasn't a packed house, but they were bouncing. It was getting loud there in the third quarter. And that was something that, you got, hasn't been something you guys have played with in a while in terms of crowd and things like that. And just for you guys in that third quarter, just how hard was it to kind of slow the momentum that they were building there as they were making that comeback?
Yeah, I mean, the third quarter, was tough, and it came down to, we didn't make the plays when we needed to. We got them in a lot of third downs and couldn't get off the field with either a scramble or a throw or just a situation that didn't go our way. And at the end of the day, it comes down to, I got to put them in better situations. And then when those guys are in the situations, they got to make the plays. And that goes down to us making sure from individual drills to group drills, we get them the work they need so that when they're in those situations, they can make plays. But, the third quarter, we got to be way better. And it starts with me, and it starts with the plan and getting our guys in the right situations. Cause we can't have those laps in that quarter or any quarter, especially the season we have in front of us.
Thanks, man.
Thanks, BJ.
All right, Coach. Thank you so much for your time.
Appreciate you guys.
Thanks, Spence.
Have a good day, guys.
Recording stopped.
Thanks.
All right, guys. Thank you so much. I will send these out right after this.
Thanks, Sarah.